Yes, 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 yes. It is live from the Resource Center. This is Pastor Ben checking in, and I got my brother back in the building, brother William Mackey McKee. What's going on, Mackey?
Oh man, awesome weekend. Awesome weekend. Thanks for having me on, man. For those of you who don't know, I'm proud to be a writer, for one of the writers for this great show. And thank you for having me in one of the big chairs. But we had a great weekend, haven't we?
Man, we have. It was a very big weekend, especially if you're in the Triad area, Greensboro area. We had a lot going on. A lot going on. So we just wanted to come here on a Sunday while everybody's kind of relaxed, go live and just kind of do a wrap up, random. We don't usually schedule these regularly, but hey, we wanted to share the beauty of what went on this weekend with everybody. So with that, Maggie, while people are still coming in, I got to. Let me run the intro. Let's go.
Come on.
There it is. There it is. There it is. We are live from the Resource Center, and as we were touching on in our little mini intro, uh, big weekend. First and foremost, want to send a shout out. First and foremost to the Piedmont Blues Preservation Society and Safer Cities Northeast for putting on a wonderful spring fling in the Northeast community, providing food, fellowship, music, resources. They had health screenings, everything on site. Wonderful band. I got to get their name. My apologies sincerely for not getting the name, but it was a great time. Shout out to my brother Karinga Arifu. He had the kids out working, making the lemonade and limeade to quench the thirst of everybody in attendance and all who were part of that. Then I want to give another shout out to the main event. And my apologies, I didn't go live from there. It was a different energy, a peaceful energy, and I just in the hustle and bustle of things and trying to talk and reconnect and with people I hadn't seen in a while, just didn't get to it like I wanted to. But the nightcap was the opportunity once again we had to attend the Toast to Education gala hosted by NFL player DJ Reader. This was the third annual, and it is to raise money for the many things that he's doing to improve the lives of our youth. He offers scholarships for several Guilford County school youth. While he was with the Cincinnati Bengals in the city of Cincinnati, he built a lot of interactive resource rooms at several of the elementary schools, and now he's doing more stuff like that in the city of Detroit as he's with the Detroit Lions now. And it was just a great evening, and it's something that we look forward to this time of year. So I want to give a shout out to all those things that was going on. But I'm gonna pass it to you, Brother Mackey, if you got some shouts you want to get out there.
Shout out to DJ Reader. Let me come right behind what you said and give a shout out to DJ Reader, like you said, of the Detroit Lions defensive tackle, previously Cincinnati Bengals, previously Clemson University Tigers, previously Grimsley High School, Greensboro, North Carolina, and a star at every level. And what some of you might not know, previously coached by a lot of people, but one, our own Benjamin Free, Pastor Ben, Coach DJ, wow, before all of that at Trotter Recreation Center, I want to say, and you can touch more
Well, no,
about on that, Ben.
he was whooping up on us. He was at Kraft whooping up on us in basketball
He
and
beat y'all.
football at Glenwood. we
Well,
received patents from him.
and you have to correct me on that because this stuff is serious. Like somebody might have stopped you this week and
Yeah,
reminded you that no, you told that wrong, Ben. So yes, you coached him then, where you were in his
At
life,
Grimsley.
and
I coached him
at Grimsley.
basketball. Yeah.
Got you. So big, you have history there. So I was talking with somebody earlier, and they said something. It was a remark of a person who wasn't at the event and was feeling some kind of way about it. And I had to remind them. I won't say the name, but I had to remind them that it wasn't about showing off on social media. It was about appreciating. And I told this person, I said, yeah, it's a lot of ball players that have foundations. I said, but it's easier not to do it than to do it. You have to organize the foundation that serves as a house, a proverbial house for your charitable work. And you have to organize it. And it's not easy work. So shout out to DJ for giving scholarship money to real students who were in the building. Not straw women. People was there. They received the awards. We got pictures of it. I should have had some pictures. Well, I don't know if I have that fun, but the students were there, and you can see the pictures on the Facebook page. We posted a bunch of them, and so I just and let me shout out why I met it. Wesley, who runs this foundation. Now let me say this real quick, Ben. Now, what I like about what DJ Reader has done and what he's doing, in addition to giving scholarships to students, and under the new rules of budgetary fiscal realities that we're under now, every dollar of scholarship money it's always been important. It's huge now. That could be the dollar to get one of those students last night over the hump to being a college student or not. I'll say this, to DJ Reader's credit, he made his old coaches that were with him before the fortune and fame, people that loved him because of who he is, he made them stewards of what he's doing now as a professional athlete. So I think that's an awesome model because you don't have to question the condition of the heart of people that were with you before all of this money came into your life. So shout out to DJ for kind of creating a model that has viability for other athletes that are making that ascension towards professional sports. Salute to you for the role that you play in that team of old coaches, a spiritual role, a positive role. So I took none of that for granted last night. Great night. And in the face of the opposition of goodness, righteousness, morality, we need positive, proactive events and initiatives and organizations and formations and entities. And we were in the midst of one last night. So great evening.
True that. And as you mentioned, with the with the state of the way things are, and the Department of Education, and in the words of those great poets known as De La Soul, the stakes is high. The stakes
Hey,
is
come on.
uh, and
Very.
the beautiful part is many of the scholars that were there to share where they were going and what they were going to major in, they go into state schools. Um, so it's beautiful because look at the impact it's having on our state. These great scholars staying home and continuing to build up our state and become leaders. So this directly impacts us as the community that's helping to donate to fund and further their growth and education. So it's a full circle, man. So we look at it holistically, spiritually, and it's a beautiful thing. But let me give one more shout out because I don't want to. I would hate to go on record without recognizing the DJ's beautiful mother, Miss Felicia Rita, who was in the building. I always like to shout out Mama Rita, give her a hug. She always asks about my girls and my family. But it's always good to see her uh, and just in her role in this because she has just a bigger role as anybody in coordinating this and putting it together. As carrying on the legacy left by DJ's father, who he lost while he was at Clemson, who was an educator, coach, great coach, man. And that's how I got to know him in that capacity in meeting them early on in DJ's development when he was 9 or 10, and his dad coaching them and working and molding kids, man. And it was just beautiful to watch because um, his dad really put in time developing kids that nobody else might have taken time with. You know what I'm saying? Especially the height
Right.
now, where everybody wants to win and get the best talent when they're young, even though there are no coaches in the gym at 9 years old. But hey, it is what it is. But and DJ got a lot of his leadership qualities from that. We were joking with he had one of his former Clemson teammates and now Jacksonville Jaguar. He just got traded from Atlanta. Brady Jarrett, who was in the building, and I told him, I said back in the day, DJ was a point guard. He's a nose tackle, but he was a point guard. He could handle the rock, distribute, run the team. But you could see in his development being a leader, team player, knowing how to keep guys in position as you see it come full circle with his foundation, as you mentioned, having the coaches and stuff that's been there still within the circle and still able to crack jokes. He cracks jokes on my game. That's all of them do. But that means they recognize how great I am. But you see it full circle, that leadership, keeping everybody in position, keeping everything steady, leadership. Uh, and just to close out this thought, man, is just, to watch each year how this function has grown, how he has grown. Um, every year with it is a beautiful thing. And that's the key to life, man. Watching things continually grow. Because once they stop growing, it means they're dead. So I'll leave that there. What else is on your mind? I'm gonna throw it back to you, and then I also want to give a shout out to some of the team that was in the building.
Yeah, great points. There's always people that do the work um, before the selfie is taken, and there are people like you said, DJ Rita's mom, DJ Rita's dad, that, as you said, sold into his life. My brothers, who were very good high school and college football players, played against his uncle, Glenn Ford, who was one of Grimsley High School's all-time best running backs. He was a scholar athlete, though. He was as good in the classroom as he was on the field. So um, shout out to the Glenn Ford and that side of his family. And you mentioned this thing, and please give to the A Son Never Forgets Foundation. Please give to it. We've got to fund what we want to see happen in our world. As they used to say in the civil rights movement, freedom ain't free, and you can't talk it. That's from one of Spike Lee's movies, I believe. But we have to fund these efforts. I think I mentioned on the last show, then before I pass it back, when you look at philanthropy, and we need to really probe and check out the state of Black philanthropy, our being able to give ourselves grants. So if you look at philanthropy, African American philanthropy compared to white philanthropy, looking at nonprofits, you see that white nonprofits have about 23% more of a budget or revenue to work from, and that's through bigger foundations given to their nonprofit, and then them being able to redistribute that as either a pass-through entity or a repurposing. Then when it comes to unrestricted funds, I think it was T.I.A. Kraft said that African American nonprofits have 73% less money to give to great causes like this one last night. So we need to give, we need to support, and we have to fund this thing. So that's my
No
pitch
doubt.
for everybody.
And I put it in the chat for those joining on YouTube or Facebook. It's in the chat if you want to go to A Son Never Forgets Foundation and make a donation. Those in the Greensboro Triad area in June, June 21st, DJ will be doing his free football camp at Grimsley High School. So please contribute to keep these things going, because as Brother Mackey said, we got to sow in, and especially our own, because it's an uphill battle, and no greater than the time now to really start investing in our institutions and philanthropy to preserve those things that have been created for those who've been suppressed, or maybe their voice has been suppressed. Those in need. And but I ain't gonna get on that stick, because I do want to get some shout outs before we break out. We ain't gonna be before you long, but I do want to shout out, as Brother Mackey mentioned, a lot of the coaches and mentors that poured in to DJ along the way. So shout out to Coach Robert Wesley Lewis, who, as McKee mentioned, is heading the foundation and has done great work to make this gala, this event happen, to raise these monies. Shout out to my man, my former co-pilot when we originally started this podcast back in 2016, Jacob Crane with Strive for Perfection Athletics, who was in the building and was there. It was great to see him. Hadn't connected in person in a while, and he was able to make it for the first show, but he was in the building. Want to shout out the rest of the team. No other, never be another. My brother, Trouble. I ain't gonna do that. But my brother, general manager of the Greensboro Sportsplex, was in the building. Who got to know DJ and the family with coaching with me in Grimsley. And then shout out to Reeves, CEO, president, financial. He was able to be in the building, and we just had a great time of fellowship. Brother Evan Fancourt, who is now the athletic director at Grimsley High School, was also a coach there with us, who was there with his lovely wife, Jessica. Who else am I? Brother Daryl Harris, who Jake West started up the Man Up, Each One Teach One mentorship club that we had at Grimsley. high school where all these athletes and young men were a part of. Um, I hope I'm not leaving. Daryl Harris is now the principal at Easton Guilford High School, doing big things out there. So I hope I'm not. Oh, Coach Joel Battle. He wasn't with the Grimsley family, but he also had a part. He was with the High Point Central family, but he's been close in being that extra arm of mentoring. So it's just beautiful to see those guys and just have that fellowship, because we don't often get together in one place with everybody all the time. So it's a beautiful thing. Um, just kind of wrapping it all up, man. What's your take from it, Mackie? What's your take? What's the move from here?
Wow. My take on it is that yes, it was a gala. Yes, it was star studded. And shout out to the keynote speaker, Brian Jordan, who we know about Neon Dion Primetime Sanders as being a two sport pro athlete, which is like the ultimate definition of a unicorn. You don't see those in in the world. And make no mistake, when you're talking about professional athletics, you're talking about a high degree of intellect. So you have to master the schematics of the game, meaning the plays that are run. You're doing physics equations at light speed, and and not to mention the public relations part and all of that off the field. To do that in two sports is an unheard of uh, level of talent and gift. But I have to throw this in there when we talk about athletics. You cannot underestimate the cerebral power that it takes to be a professional athlete. And we got to remember, before Jesse Owens and the Olympics, that Jesse Owens turned on its ear. Uh, Before the racism kicked in, athletics was known to be an intellectual property. It was a property that went hand in hand. It was actually a practicum of your intellect. A lot of intellect stays philosophical, but athletics is a practicum expose, an exercise of that which you study. And you, in real time, are seeing to the degree of whether you could execute that or not. Athletes are phenomenal, particularly at the professional level. Brian Jordan played for the Atlanta Falcons and the Atlanta Braves at the same time Deion Sanders did. We know about Bo Jackson, but Brian gave of his time last night for DJ Reader, and that great cause came and delivered a great Q&A, great words of inspiration for those young athletes in the building. And so shout out to him. We had a great conversation with him. And when we threw out the MJBL, which is a youth baseball league that is geared towards getting more African Americans, that your dad, Ken Free Sr., was the chair of that board with Mr. Forrester heading it up. Brian was all ears, and he was ready to jump in and help. So you don't see that a lot with people on that level sometimes. So shout out to him, man. Shout out to Brian Jordan.
Shout out. And what most don't realize, man, how long his baseball career was. He had a longer baseball career than even Neon Dion. But like you said, at the same time, but I want to give a shout out to him too, specifically because it just shows you, once you envision it and believe it, how real it can manifest. He said his goal was to be a professional athlete in two sports. And when you hear the sacrifices made, right? And this is a huge message. I want young folks, if you get this sound bite, to really understand that he said. But he talked about growing up in Baltimore. His dream was to play at the University of Maryland. I said University of America. University of Maryland, right? Big Division I at that time, ACC. whatever major conference, main stage, right? But when it came to the sacrifice of one of his dreams of playing baseball in college, where it was said, "Oh no, you're gonna have to let that go," he made a huge decision to not sign with Big Time Maryland to go to 1AA Richmond. At that time, 1AA. Now we say FCS, but he made the choice to go to a smaller market, so say, so he could pursue his dream of playing football and baseball in college to further stay on path to his goal of playing professionally. And he brought this point, which I want everyone to hear. He said, no matter where you go, if you are good enough, they will find you. Mm-hmm. And I see, and you know, the thing about it now is everybody's so caught up in NIL and I got to be D1 or Power 5 or this and that. But the fact of the matter remains, it is people's jobs to find the best. And if you are doing that at FCS, Division 2, 3, they will find you. And then the rest is up to you. But that was key because there were a lot of young athletes, because we know that the Grimsley High School football team is coming off of a state championship, a lot of big-time athletes signing and going to colleges. But it was a good message for them to hear that wherever you go where you're going to be able to play and pursue that dream. And the rest is on you, what you put into it. So I just want to shout him out for that positive message and the things he had to overcome. You know, he talked about dyslexia, which wasn't regularly diagnosed back then, which he had to overcome that in order to maintain his status academically, just to achieve all that stuff. So shout out to him, and shout out to him for taking the time to give back, to pour into to everybody that was there. So shout out to Brian and his journey and all that he did. But Mackie, once again, I'm feeling good about it, man. But I ain't got too much more. What you got anything else on your palette?
No, I like how you captured Brian's story on what he overcame and what he talked about, and a made-up mind is powerful. And he went to the like you said, University of Richmond, which is, you know, we're HBCU promoters, but it also shows that a made-up mind can take a resource, live from the resource center. University of Richmond had resources, and it doesn't always matter what the consensus feels about you at a place. If you're determined, you know what you want to get out of a situation, you can go in and do it. And he did that in an unlikely place. When I was working with the Phelps Stokes Fund years ago, we went to meet with the University of Richmond. They had about 83%, maybe 87% of their students were studied abroad before they graduated, which for those that know that realm, that's a high percentage. That's like your whole school goes to France on their own dime, on their own money at some point. That shows you how exclusive that institution is. So the cultural pitfalls and barriers that he faced, and how he had to code switch at every turn, I'm sure, and navigate those choppy, treacherous waters right off the Midlothian Turnpike and all that in Richmond. Shout out to Jacob Crane, Coach Crane. He did that, accomplished everything. He wrote the vision, he made it plain, and he did it. And now he's sewing back in. So to see that level of athlete and success with the coaches that sold into DJ Reader, like a Coach Vivica Wingfield, who was in the building, that coached DJ as a small kid. And then to see how you guys all have your own enterprises. The Jacob Cranes coaching up at, I think, Meadowbrook High School in Richmond, you said, and he's got his own leagues and his own podcast, and then you said Coach Fancourt, and you got all those guys. Everybody's got Harry Reeves with A Better Life Financial. That's how we do it. To quote, shout out to Montel Jordan. Shout out to the Slossers. Shout out to South Central Los Angeles. He told us years ago, this is how we do it. And how we do it is everybody maximizes their dream, manifest that dream with the help of the Almighty God, and then you bring those resources back to great causes that are organic, that are grassroots, and you sow into them. And you face the tough issues, you face the obstacles, but the smile is always regenerated. And that's a fun, that's a oxytocin producing way of building revolutionary acts. And maybe that's some formula for the new frontier. And I got to see that last night and be a small part of it, even thanks to you and Wesley and those guys. So yeah.
No doubt. And this is just the beginning. And to that point, as we build, we build together collectively. And the thing is to lift up one another the best we can so we can further it and sustain these things. So like, Jake is bringing a tournament here on the 31st. So we're going to be in the building, supporting, working. If I got to pull trash, clean the bathroom, do whatever. We sacrifice for one another to make sure it works, and we keep going so that we can build our own institutions, right? So we're not dependent, so that we can further have an impact, right? Collectively, right? Because without it, who knows? Who knows? So that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful, man. We can land it there. We can land it there. But let me do one more thing and just remind everybody. We'll be back on Wednesday with a little Wednesday wisdom. Might get into a few more things but then remember, every Saturday morning we're live, 7 a.m. for now, but in June we're gonna move it back to 8 a.m. We'll try to catch a little bit more, y'all. Let's make sure y'all sleeping well. But get up at 8. Check us out. Like, subscribe, share it out. We're trying to build this platform back and continue to do things, and shout out all those who are doing stuff in their communities and what's going on in the communities. And it doesn't just have to be in our area. If you got some things you want to lift up in Georgia or Idaho or anywhere, contact us. We'll lift it up, because that's what we're about, being the resource or being a resource, but understanding that the ultimate resource is you. We're just here to help support and give you that reassurance or push that you may need to further get closer to that dream. So on that, McKee, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, because to your point, we can talk all night, but we land in this plane. To your point, though, last night, you had Brian Jordan that was representing Baltimore, Atlanta, the places he's played. You had DJ Rita, who is doing great things in Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. Shout out to, we got to send that to Lil Sam, wholesale, Mr. Dana Merck. Shout out to the D. We had the gentleman from Georgia. We had people from all over the country last night.
And to make sure you shout out Cincinnati.
Oh no, our MC, right? Our MC was from Cincinnati. She's the chair of the school board there, right?
Correct.
Brilliant sister. So to see that collage of people from around the country for that cause, and to see him, put his arm around his old ball coach, his old mentor, talking about you and the other old coaches that he had. Y'all were generally happy for a good reason. That's why I say I cannot undersell how great that was to see last night. We can get all these other stories on our algorithmic ticker, but how about this beautiful brother last night, doing what you do with your platform and with your blessings, throw them back in. And the students are there on the scene. The old coaches are there on the scene. So I mean, what? It's a case
Yeah.
study on how it should be done.
And to that point, when we share it out, it's for you all to share it out too. Because many
Yeah,
times what pops up mostly on our feeds and our algorithms and the news is the negative stuff happening. So let's
that's right.
continue to share this stuff, this positive stuff, and what's going on for real, so that people know the greatness, the philanthropic things that these athletes are doing to impact their community, to impact the lives of young people, because it doesn't get enough attention. Maybe locally, but it needs to get national attention what these individuals are doing. And I landed here on my piece. I just go back even to last year when the sister who's the chair of the school board came and just talked about how the city, not just the school system or those fans, she said how the city will miss the impact DJ Reader had on the city because he was going to the Detroit Lions. So that speaks volumes to me. And I don't think people really understand that how much of an impact they have on the city and the well-being of a city, the athletes that are out here doing stuff, right? We know the economics of it, drawing the fans, but what are the impact on the lives of those who most need it? The city.
Hey,
So shout out.
no, that's huge, Ben. That's how you want to leave a city if you got to leave it. With the school board saying we hate that we're happy for you, but everything you just said, I have to repeat what you said. That was huge. That's what you want. When you get blessed like that, when you put in, when DJ asked his question to Brian Jordan about the work, DJ asked him, emphasize to these young athletes about the work that you have to put in. And that's a universal message. Whatever we do in life, if you don't put, you get it, you get out what you put in. And he wanted that emphasized. DJ has put in the work, and everywhere that he's been, he's sewn in. And what you just said is huge. The school board in the city of which you're leaving, Cincinnati in this case, hates to see you go. That's impact. I'm glad you lifted that out, because that's something, if you weren't there, you wouldn't have been privy to that, and you'd be caught up on the pictures, and because Ben had on a two-tone ensemble, he's got the gray, he's competing with Coach Coach Jake. No,
I can't let him outdo me no more, man.
Hey, I don't know if Coach knew that. You went at it last night with the wardrobe. I said, oh, okay. You went seersuckerish. I saw that. But back to the serious, if you didn't lift that out and you weren't there, you would have missed that. That's a key point. The chair of the school board of, shout out to Ohio, OH10, Cincinnati. The chair of that school board said they hate that he got traded to the Detroit Lions because they're going to miss him. His money, and more importantly, his heart for the people. I mean, I'm saying good. Thank you for lifting that out.
No doubt, no doubt. That's what we do. That's the new currency you were talking about. Connection.
Come on.
And that's what we got to do. That's the spiritual currency. That is the Holy Spirit that keeps us connected, so we speak the same tongue. I ain't gonna get all into that. We're gonna say that for Wednesday wisdom.
Hey, you can.
But we ain't got that kind of time, man. We gonna Wednesday wisdom.
Hey, I need that. You got a built-in. Come on, a hype man right here. Shoot, we could go till like We can lift up America till about 11:15, 11:30. We need to, hey.
I got you. I got you. But seriously, that was powerful, man, when you brought it to that, because it's not always about seeing the material manifestation or the fruition right away. Sometimes it's about the connection and the process and the relationships. Because in that, when we build that, man, you want to see everyone thrive, everyone have success. Because their success means your success. That's the new currency. And
That's the new
it's not about status or what we don't, the book says don't lift yourself up, right? You humble.
right.
And humble means we do it in community. To commune, to be together. That's what it's about. That's the true currency, the true energy, right? So
Yeah.
then when we're guided in that, then we know how to use the energy of physical money or this monetary system we got. We do
That's
it
right.
for impact, right? And that's what you see coming out in DJ. Because let's look at it. There are many that don't. They don't have to. There's no requirement. But when a cat does, that means they get it. But we gotta keep lifting and feeding into that energy so that more opportunities vibrate. Magnetism is, as Yasin Bey would say, magnetism. So it all gravitates. So then we can be present to do what's needed, to do what's ordained. I'm gonna lay it there, man. We gonna lay it there. I'm gonna lay it there. Okay, give a five. Take us out.
I think them bars you just spit are most deaf. The best bars I've heard in a while. Y'all missed that. But no, we do. That is the new currency. And when he built his team of old coaches that preceded the money, that preceded the fame, how many times has a young kid come up to a coach, a teacher, and it's up to the quality of your heart that you deal with that kid because they're precious in God's sight. You don't know what they're going to be. And then sometimes it turns out to be a deep, not that athletics is the only way, but he keeps y'all around him. And let me tell you, if y'all could be privy to some of the jokes they tell, they keep each other humble. Let's just say that. There's a picture that was circulated by one of those coaches to you. And y'all do DJ the same way. So when you got your old coaches in your circle and they're not letting you get that big head because they messing with you about something that happened in the seventh grade, it keeps you humble, and like you said, it keeps you grounded so that you can excavate the best of you, of what you just articulated perfectly. So hey man, our excitement over this is no small thing. It's no small thing. That's the beloved community that Dr. King talked about last night. And when you're dealing with real things, doesn't matter the label. Yes, it's NFL. We talking about that. Hashtag Detroit Lions, but it's the substance of what this young brother has done with that perch, with that place he is. It's what you're doing with it. And so last night was like a beautiful witnessing of that. Can't wait till next year. Can't wait to see what all of us in the collective will do for people in our world between now and next year.
No doubt. And I just thought about something. And Mac, and I know we said we supposed to be winding it down, but I'm gonna be greedy, and my kids are loud in the back. Don't worry about them, family. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. But tomorrow, in the sense of love, tomorrow would have been the 100th birthday for El Haj Malik. El Haj Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X. And we've seen there's a lot of stuff, celebrations and stuff going around to celebrate uh, Malcolm X, and we know that growing up in hip hop culture, uh, Malcolm was very big, very influential in his words, right? So I just wanted to take a McKee, because we call you Saber for a reason, right? So I just wanted to get some any thoughts you had on that, as May 19th would be his 100th birthday. El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. Talk to me.
2 points come to mind. First, I'm thankful that you brought that up before we close. So thankful that you lifted that up. I got a quick Malcolm X family story that I'll just share real quick. When I worked for the Phelps Stokes Fund, Dr. Badie Foster, he was one of the co-founders of Black Studies at Princeton University, taught at the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University for years, African-American man from the South Side of Chicago. But more important than the Ivy League name drop was that he had a heart of gold. And he was a member of a group of Black leadership where their families got together. And he offered me in to speak to that group, maybe 2007. And he said he had a surprise for me. And all of the luminaries that I grew up watching on C-SPAN and CBS News were in that building. And to my right, I'm making great conversation with this beautiful sister who's just oozing with brilliance. And her synapses were on full display. And then he said, Dr. Foster leaned over to me and said, McKee, you know who that is, don't you? I said, no, but thank you for the pleasant person to my right. This is the queen right here. He said, that's Malcolm X's daughter, Malik. And I said, wow. I said, don't let my conversation change. Keep it 100. Don't change. And me and her went up together to get our salads. And I'm trying to stay cool. And I'm just putting all these cucumbers on and lettuce on my plate. And I just kept putting it on there, nervous. And she was like, what's up with all the lettuce? I mean, tell me, is there something that I need to know about the value? I said, oh my goodness. I was honest with her. I said, Dr. Foster told me who you were. And so she was so awesome, about to head to India at the time to speak on the plight of minority women in the world. So that's my Malcolm X story with Malik Shabazz. So shout out to that entire family. Dr. Betty Shabazz, as the rapper comment says, to have a woman like Betty Shabazz, you can't mention Dr. King without mentioning Coretta. You can't mention Malcolm X without mentioning Betty Shabazz, because they did that thing together. So shout out to them, and thank you for lifting that up and placating me by listening to my story.
No doubt, and I appreciate that, brother. So look, once again, y'all, like it, share it, subscribe to it, comment on it. We love to hear from you. As you see it running at the bottom of the screen, the email, how to follow us, IG, Facebook. Please link up. It's about connection, the new currency. So we out. McKee, I appreciate you coming in and the energy, brother. Blessings. And please look out for us on Wednesday with the Wednesday Wisdom. Otherwise, we out.